Okay. All right. Where's Bill? Hi, Bill. Thanks for being here. Thank you, sir.
Well, yeah.
Eddie,
Next week.
today is
Friday.
Friday, July 11th. Everybody is taking their seats. Thank you. I'm still, is that too much echo? Am I doing something wrong? Okay. Good morning again. I am still Mavis Bates. This is the Kane County, what's this? The host spotlighted you
What is she
Just-
doing?
later? Okay. Energy and Environmental Committee. Thank you for being here. Please, clerk, please call us to order. Call the roll.
Allen. Caius. I see.
Not
that he's-
available.
Not available.
I'm here,
That's-
but I don't got, no excuse.
Well, you're on a family emergency, aren't you?
Still not.
Yes.
Okay.
Genesis.
That qualifies.
Thomas is here remote.
Medical.
Yes.
Yeah, heading over to urgent care for some poison ivy. Yard work
Sorry,
misfortune.
Oh.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Sorry,
don't
Ted.
bring in here, please.
Go on.
I'll try that.
Sorry, Strathman.
Strathman present.
Young. Tarver.
Harvest here.
Roth.
Roth here.
Bates.
Bates is here. Because,
Horribly allergic to
Pennis
it. I ended up in
and
ER.
did
from it.
so neither Pennis nor Caius requested remote attendance, correct? So, I don't think we can grant you remote attendance if you didn't ask
But they
for
can
it.
listen, but no votes,
Yeah.
no voting.
Okay, let's move on then. May I
This-
ask for approval of the minutes from June 13th?
We have a quorum?
Madam Chairman, I would like to ask for unanimous consent to approve the minutes from June 13th, 2025.
Any objections?
None.
Thank you very much. The minutes are approved. Is there any public comment for today? Okay, thank you. Environmental was Miss Wolnick, please.
Hi, good morning. I have one resolution for your consideration this morning. If you recall, in May, we had Arnie Schrammel, our electric consultant for the county, that was here and gave a great presentation on community solar. We've been struggling, trying to find the way through the purchasing requirements for community solar, as this will definitely benefit the county with our rates for electrical. As Arnie explained, is basically 90 cents on the dollar if we are able to sign up for community solar subscriptions. The community solar providers really are not geared up to do requests for proposals. That's not something they do. They send out, they have capacity in their community solar fields. They sign people up to the subscription, and then you just basically get 90 cents on the dollar of the electric bill that you're paying. So there's no money going out from the county. We're just receiving that credit on our bills. At the request of the state's attorney's office, we did go out for an RFP. As expected, we only, with much outreach from Arnie Schrammel and Progressive Energy, we only received one back, and it was not the 10% that we were looking for. So we're asking for the board to consider going forward with the community solar authorization that would be reviewed by our consultant, Arnie Schrammel, as well as the state's attorney's office for any community solar subscriptions, and allowing the chairwoman to sign those community solar agreements.
Okay, are there any other questions about this issue? Mr.
Would
Ross?
we should do a motion first, probably.
I'll make a motion to accept the resolution.
Mr. Tarver?
Strathman will second.
Strathman?
All right, so
Mr. Ross?
we would only sign if we get a 90 cents on the dollar?
Correct.
Okay, would that be in the resolution,
It should be.
or should we amend that's a
We
requirement?
can, but I mean, if we were to get anything higher or approximately that amount, we're just saving money for the county on the electric.
I
So
understand.
I would hate to put 10 cents on there and then
Okay, and that's
end
why
up
I'm
with
just
8 cents
asking.
or something like that, which is still a really good deal.
Okay, that's why I'm asking.
Mr. Gripe?
On the same lines, maybe somebody on the committee could suggest or move an amendment that would say a minimum of
Well, but
10%.
what Jody said, 8% is still,
You're still
Good.
saving you're still saving on your electric bill. So I don't know, 5 cents. I think they were just throwing that out because they don't do RFPs. The standard is 10 cents, but I don't know. I would want us to lock ourselves in there because of our budget issues. If we can save money on our electric, we just want to save the money.
But I would assume there's a cost, not a cost outgo, but administrative cost, applying for it there's got to be some kind of cost on our
minimal,
side.
right?
No, you're just basically paying the bill as you typically paid the bill.
It's converting-
Prior to this last year, there was a cost to the county because when we were looking at the savings amount and the fact that we were going to have to pay the community solar provider separately, there was the cost of issuing the check to the community solar. So you're basically going through a process where we're putting it into New World. There's somebody that has to put that bill in there. There's the treasurer that has to issue the check. And there was more cost than there was savings. This last year it changed. So it's just reflected on our current bill.
Basically, you're just switching out your vendor pretty much, right?
Yeah, you're just seeing that community solar credit on your existing bill.
Right.
So there is no more paperwork and there is no additional checks at this point. And that's why we're bringing it to you.
That
Okay.
makes sense. I would be at some point after you guys vote on this. I tried to do this myself
Oh,
for our family and
really?
I spent 45 minutes online looking for how to do this and gave up. So
It is confusing. I did it at the museum and it's saving us some money on
Yeah.
gas, the gas.
so
bill.
maybe we could help the community do what we're about to do. So.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
that sounds like a great idea. Okay, any other questions or comments? I feel like what we will do is we will take the best deal we can get. If we get more than one deal, we'll take the
Exactly.
best
And
one.
and we'll keep coming back to the committee when we do have these agreements and reporting that we've signed on to an agreement and this is how much we're saving with this agreement.
Okay, thank you. Any more questions? Okay, clerk, please take the roll.
Strathman,
Yes.
Tarver,
Tarver, yes.
Roth,
Roth, yes.
Bates.
States yes.
Passes.
Okay, thank you. Recycling solid waste. Ms. Ryan.
Yeah, that's me. All right. Okay, so I am presenting today on our internal recycling program. So that means essentially recycling generated at Kane County Buildings. And one big reason to be talking about this is that we have goals for the committee that have been on our agendas since I think December. And the one pertinent to recycling and solid waste is that we are focusing on increasing education and improving overall recycling in Kane County buildings. And I broke this kind of into two pieces to talk to you about. The first is hard to recycle materials, which I kind of consider anything that you can't put in your single stream recycling. And then the single stream recycling part. So that's your paper, packaging, containers, everything that might go in your under desk bin and get taken out to the recycling dumpsters. So those are the two parts. We'll start with the hard to recycle because it's actually a little bit shorter. But I guess the take home from this slide is there's actually a lot going on at the county to divert hard to recycle materials from landfill. A lot of electronics can't be landfilled by law. Certainly businesses and institutions know this. Our IT department has an agreement with the local electronic recycler to recover their equipment. And then departments often have equipment that is their own that does not belong to the IT department. Sometimes smaller printers, certainly like hand calculators, anything little, might belong to the department. And those can go through our electronic recycling centers, though the standard fee on the televisions and monitors does apply. Batteries. We use call to recycle boxes. Those are basically shipping boxes with a special liner to collect all portable battery types in several departments. I think every major building, maybe save the new health department, but all the other buildings have a box to put batteries in and ship them out when they're full. One of our newest initiatives is print consumables. So we have boxes in the mailroom. We actually got them through Toshiba, but we can put toner cartridges, waste toner drums of any brand that don't come with a return label or can't go through a free program. In those boxes, they live in the mailroom on this campus. And then if anyone uses inkjets, those are the small, they're usually for home printers, but smaller printers here might have them too. We collect those at Fabian Parkway for free. Scrap metal. So it's usually KDOT and building management. And I'm not really involved in this at all, but I do know that when those departments have projects, they're going to generate a lot of scrap metal. They either bring in a roll-off container to collect that, or have a vendor come pick up the scrap metal just all in one go. That's actually cost positive usually for the department. They'll get a little bit of money back because metal's valuable. Paint, I'm not really sure what's happening with paint now, but I will be working with building management to make sure they know about the paint care program, which is starting like December of this year / early months of next year. So that program is for any architectural paint or coating, whether it's from a residential or a business source. And it'll be free for businesses and just homeowners to take their paint and architectural coatings, they call them, to be recycled properly. And then we do accept spray paint at Fabian for $1 a can. Lamps. So when I say lamps, I mean light bulbs. Certain light bulbs, fluorescent bulbs are regulated by law. So building management is aware of that. And they, when they replace fluorescent lights, they collect them and send them off for safe recycling. Special waste and construction debris. So I'm sometimes called in by other departments to help them get rid of something tricky. Usually it's like a hazardous waste situation, like the leftover COVID expired hand sanitizer, random storages of chemicals that departments have somehow held onto for 20 years, that fun stuff. And I'm always happy to try and solve those kind of problems. When we have a RFP that involves, or a project that involves taking a building apart, I usually kind of help on that too, to make sure we have something in there that requires the bidders to recycle some portion of the construction waste. Okay. And then office supplies, anyone who uses the New World system knows that large items that, have more than like a negligible amount of value should be put through the purchasing department to see if anyone else wants that item. And then smaller stuff like, extra boxes of paper clips or staplers, that kind of thing. We've generally had an annual supply swap to help departments offload their surplus or get free stuff, basically. Okay, so that's it on hard to recycle. And then the rest of my presentation will be about single stream.
Madam Chair,
Yeah, that's a good time to stop for questions on
Good,
all of
thank
that
you.
stuff. Yeah.
Madam Chair, may I ask a question?
Ms. Catherine, please.
I have a question about batteries.
Yes.
When you talk about the boxes, are they small boxes that people that are in the different offices and that?
Yes, they're about, I don't know, maybe 9 inches by
Like a good
15.
sized shoebox or something?
Yeah, probably 2 shoe boxes
Yeah, two.
together. Yeah.
Elgin just started a program, they collect, people can drop off at the township batteries.
Elgin Township, yes, theirs is huge.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they just started a new program of putting glass beads in with the batteries to make them non-flammable, toxic, caustic, whatever. Have you heard about that program?
I have definitely heard about the Elgin Township program, because I'm helping them switch from the model they're using now, where they're paying a lot of money, to the state program starting next year. The glass beads, I've heard of that too. Yeah, it's a flame retardant. So if you
Right.
have a damaged lithium ion battery in there, it would prevent the whole barrel from catching on fire, because the beads melt and basically encase the problem battery in a glass shell.
And the beads are reusable, right? They separate out when the batteries are collected, they separate out the beads and
I've never seen the back process with the beads. So I'm not sure, but I hope
no,
so.
I'm saying
Yeah.
that is what they do.
Oh, the Elgin does that.
Elgin does. It's,
Oh,
it's-
they're reusing their, okay,
it's brand new. They're
Okay.
just starting it.
okay.
And they
Cool.
they have many big barrels of batteries. And what they
Yeah.
were doing before the glass beads was taping off the batteries that you're talking about so that they weren't flammable. Now they have these glass beads that they put in the barrels with the batteries, and it prevents the flammable situation, but they're reusable.
Mhm.
Is that something that eventually we would do, or is that because they do such volume in Elgin? that they're doing that?
It's because they do such volume in Elgin. We're looking at when the state program starts and doing batteries from the public at Fabian, and we would be doing something very similar with the drums and those glass beads. Though under the state program, the drums are supposed to ship with the beads in them. Like that's part
Oh.
of it. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
This isn't a state program that they're using, so maybe that's the difference.
Yeah,
Sure.
they're gonna switch over though,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it'll save them tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Yeah,
When is the state program supposed to start next year?
January 1st.
That's
And
good
then are we
news.
going to publicize that? Because that would be a good thing to publicize. Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Gripe?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a light bulb question.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I took some light bulbs to our friends at Geneva Ace Hardware, who are my go-to spot for recycling light bulbs, and they wouldn't take them. They were larger light bulbs used like commercially. They ended up in my attic. Don't ask, I have no idea how. At any rate, I took them in and they said, you just got to throw them in the trash. And these things are like that. And I said, Okay, if that's what you say, because and they went and checked with the expert. So what could I have done with those that would be better than?
That's so funny because I was actually there yesterday and the staff person told me about that. He was like, some guy brought in these light bulbs and they were huge and I'd never seen anything like them before. And we told him to throw them away. And I was like, okay. I don't know, actually. I'd have to see the bulb because I don't know. Like if it is an incandescent or a halogen type bulb, and the technology, not the size, doesn't really matter, then there isn't really any reason to recycle it. There's nothing recoverable. If it is a mercury containing bulb, we would want it.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think it was, but yeah.
That's
Okay.
me.
Okay, fun.
Probably halogens.
That's great.
That was very enlightening, John.
Thank you.
Yeah, so it's the Ace Hardware thing is primarily for fluorescents and for LEDs.
One year, I collected light bulbs at the Green Fest
Yeah.
and I took them to Ace Hardware and they took all these light bulbs. And the next week I went back to recycle and they had stopped their program.
Oh, at Geneva.
I broke the program.
At the Geneva store or a different one?
Or,
Oh,
or,
okay.
I
That's
broke
funny.
the recycling.
Whoops.
Oh,
Okay.
dear. Unintended consequences.
Are we ready to talk about our single stream? Okay.
Yes.
So essentially the players who make single stream recycling happen. So all county employees hopefully have a blue bin somewhere in their department, if not at their desk like this cartoon lady. Visitors have access to recycling in public spaces in our buildings and outside on the campuses. Custodial staff certainly are instrumental in moving the material from all those separate little bins into the large commercial containers. And then whoever our contracted waste hauling company happens to be, at the moment it's WM Waste Management, has a responsibility to come pick up the material in those commercial containers and then take it for recycling. And we got to tour their facility in Hodgkins a couple weeks ago, where that material likely ends up to be sorted, and that was pretty good. It was good. So just going into these roles a little bit more in terms of what people really need to be doing and what I envision everyone's responsibility is. So everyone, hopefully the general public and us as employees and board members and even, people visiting need to know what they should and shouldn't be putting in recycling containers. And it's really the same as at your house. If you have recycling, which hopefully most people do. So shouldn't be too hard. We want to make sure recyclables are clean-ish, doesn't have to be sparkling, but certainly empty and not covered in grossness. Boxes, which we do encounter a lot, just, from receiving shipments, should be flat. Packaging should be taken out, and really is the responsibility, I think, of the package recipient to do all of that. And then put the recyclables in the blue bins. And then sometimes, for some employees, if IT, I know, gets a massive equipment shipments and everything's in its own box. So they'll actually break everything down and they have an employee who's part of his responsibility is to make sure the packaging goes in the dumpster. Most of us don't fall in there, but some do. So then the custodians, they're consolidating the recycling from each can or bin. They should be consolidating it separately from the trash and putting it in the correctly labeled outdoor receptacle, unbagged. So the unbagged thing it has been a challenge because the custodians need to use something to consolidate the material and to be able to move it around easily. And usually that something is a bag. So it's been a bit of a challenge to get folks to know they need to dump the bag out essentially into the recycling container instead of tying it off and throwing it in like you do with trash. is great when custodians can remove obvious contaminants from the recycling stream, but it's really as their time and safety allows. I don't think it's reasonable to expect custodians to go through food contaminated stuff. It's gross. No one wants to do that. It's more like if they see a big block of styrofoam in the recycling dumpster and can grab it, then that's great. Then the waste companies. So it's really the waste company's job to tell us what they can and can't recycle. And it's going to be based on two things, essentially, their equipment and their markets. Sometimes municipalities like to pretend it's the other way around and they can put whatever they want in their bid. But in reality, if the waste company either can't sort it or can't market it, it's not going to be recycled. So they're going to collect the material from the outdoor recycling receptacles. They're going to ensure that the recyclable material is sorted and marketed. Depending on what the contract looks like, there might be some responsibility to educate the customer. And then these are all for-profit companies, so they are always looking to make money. There's two ways to do that. Essentially, you either reduce your costs or increase your revenue. And so I don't know if Waste Management is unique in this. They probably aren't. But one of the things they do on their commercial contracts is they charge fees on their customers when they have very contaminated recycling. And their rationale that they'd explain if you call your sales rep and say, why am I getting all these fees? Is they're saying it's increasing our costs when you contaminate your recycling. We either have to make a separate trip to the landfill that we weren't planning to make with a truck that's full of garbage masquerading as recycling, or it drives our equipment costs up for sorting. So that's why we're charging you a fee. And then education and logistics. So these are kind of roles that sit on top of those other roles. So my job is essentially to implement the solid waste management plan and county recycling ordinance, and everything else I do is related to that, including educating county staff and the general public. And then that can be a more general role, or it can be very specialized, customized to a specific department, depending on what their waste stream looks like. And I do help as well train the custodians when I'm kind of asked to help with that. But at the end of the day, is building management that is responsible for managing the contract with Waste Management within the budget they have for that contract, and also the day-to-day direction and performance evaluation, just HR, essentially, of our custodial staff. Our waste company does retain an educator on staff. We've met her. I'll talk about that in just a couple minutes. And they just generally, their sales staff will also give service recommendations to their client, in this case, building management. And they're looking at trying to balance having a good relationship with the customer and, leaving a good taste in the mouth, so to speak. But they also need to minimize those cost overruns that they face when recycling is contaminated. So it's a dance. Yeah, Bill.
Question, Roth here. Do we track that? How much? I mean, is it a large percent, like 25% of our recycling is because we get fees?
I looked at it for since this contract started in 2023, and it was about 8%. So not 25. But
Okay, and that's, I just
Yeah.
said that as an example.
What was that? I didn't understand the question.
Well, they charge us these fees if we don't recycle properly. What percent of our total costs are fees?
And we have had fees for contaminated
8%.
recycling.
yeah,
Does that, is there a national average or, that,
no.
I mean, it's a little high, but
So why did we have contaminated recycling? Somebody put their,
they're
McDonald's.
garbage.
We'll talk about it in a little bit.
okay.
I'm ahead of the game, sorry.
No, it's okay.
Thank you.
So this has been a problem for a long time. So these are photos, if anyone wasn't familiar with her, my predecessor, Jennifer Jarlin, took these in spring of 2017. What you're seeing here on the left, this stuff in this bag all looks recyclable. The issue here is the bag. On here, you've got a mix. This looks like phone books or directories. Those would be recyclable. This might be, but here you've got shredded paper. That's a big no-no. It's basically just confetti at the recycling center. Is bagged as well. So you've got just issues here.
They don't take that?
Shredding stuff?
Not in single stream recycling. We can take it at the Fabian Recycling Center, but it has to be in a paper bag.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it's paper. It's going into a paper stream. Can only be paper. This is highly anecdotal, of course, but I did just run out while I was putting this presentation together and took a photo inside the dumpster outside Building B, and it actually looked really good. I mean, this is one of the dumpsters we've gotten contamination fees on. Hopefully not this time. This is a plastic bottle, big water jug. This is all paper. It's not pristine. I think I saw in here, there's like a little plastic fork. That's not the kind of thing we're gonna get fees on. So just, I guess, that's a point of interest, how it works these days. Garbage companies, all of the companies, I think at this point, have a camera that watches the material go into the truck. A lot of that is for insurance purposes. If the truck catches on fire, they maybe want to see what might have caused it, and just general safety. People try and hide all sorts of stuff in the garbage. It's scary. Not to be morbid. But so they do have a feed, and what Waste Management does, I would be surprised at this point if it wasn't AI doing it. But someone or something scans the feed and looks for contaminants and recycling. And what they're looking for is black plastic bags. That's an easy tell. But any color plastic bags, bagged recycling, big chunks of styrofoam, electronics, a TV in the recycling, just big stuff. That's obviously very problematic. So
Are post-it notes a problem? Are those like
they're
maybe some
still
little
on the
post-
small side, but no.
Okay.
And that, like a post-it note or a plastic fork or a plastic cup or that kind of thing is not what they're catching us with the fees. It's bags, big blocks of styrofoam, that kind of thing.
So they charge us if it's bagged, no matter,
Yes.
even clear ones? Okay. And I would think that would be the big issue because, it's a lot of times they're in bags and.
Yeah. Well, yeah, a lot of the recycling bins, there's one right over there, are lined with plastic bags, probably to keep the bin clean, because otherwise you're going to get like inches of soda at the bottom of it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So just kind of some recent developments in the last 12 to 18 months. At the direction of building management, padlocks have been added to most of the recycling containers and some trash containers. What this does, if the locks are being used properly, is curtail fly dumping. So fly dumping is someone not associated with your business coming in and just using your dumpsters because it's free. And it can help you identify, I guess, who is causing your recycling contamination a little bit better. Because if the lock is being used faithfully and you're still having problems, as one of your key holders that's not quite got the rules down yet. Janitorial services transitioned from contractors to county staff positions, all within that time frame, which I think is positive. But yeah, obviously not in our department, but a good change, I think. Personnel changes in building management leadership. and project and management positions. You know, it's just a fact of life. There's been a lot of change in building management. Waste management did, and I would guess again, this was under direction and or consultation with building management. They replaced most of our recycling containers. This is the big commercial containers, with new ones that have yellow lids and clearer markings to delineate the recycling container from the garbage container. Because otherwise, before, they looked almost identical. One would have a smallish sticker on it that said recycling, and that's it. So we're doing better with that now. I did make, this was not that long ago in January, a custodial staff recycling guide. That's what you're seeing up here. I think it was 2 pages. This is the no page, like don't do this, but there was a yes page, probably the first page. It's in English with a full Spanish translation as well. And I think it was received pretty well. We gave a joint, I mentioned before, the waste management educator. So myself, our sales lead from Waste Management, or I guess I should say our account manager, and the educator at Waste Management gave a joint recycling training to custodial staff also in January, kind of coincided with this guide. So there were a lot, there was a lot of, oh, I never heard that before. So it was good.
Has that caused a reduction in the fees since you've had the training?
I don't know if we have enough data to see, but yes, there have been less fees. Like there was a big drop off in January.
Yeah, and that, and then that means it worked.
Yeah.
Now, whether it continues to work is a whole nother.
Exactly. Yeah. And then there is an all staff recycling guide too. Is uploaded to the internet now. It hasn't gone out yet, but it will imminently. I actually, I'm a perfectionist, you know me. I made a tweak to it based on our tour and some of the questions I asked after the tour, just to clarify a couple things. So that'll be going out to everyone. So here's kind of some gaps and obstacles. So I guess this is, I don't want to say radical, but it's some truth telling. This is stuff you guys may not know, but it does come up when we talk about recycling at the county. It's just a sad fact of the matter that there's almost no recycling happening at all at the judicial campus. Part of the reason for that is that of all those buildings that are there, there is one recycling dumpster that's at the Juvenile Justice Center. It's not that way by design. I just this morning pulled up the 2023 contract with Waste Management, and it does have in the bid a recycling container at the Adult Justice Center and at the court building judicial campus. So those have been removed. I know the one from, there was one as well previously in the earlier contract at the multi-use building as well. I know that was removed in January 2022. It's also not in the new bid. There are issues there. There's space constraints. They built a corral in the back of the building, and there's a lot of storage needs at that facility. So there's a garbage dumpster, and then there's a lot of other stuff being stored there. And I know they were getting the contamination fees too. When I've brought this up, like to the building management staff and the contract management, they've expressed extreme reservations and concerns about the contamination fees, and just having a valid recycling program if those dumpsters were brought back to the AJC and to the court side of the campus there. It bothers me because we're not in compliance with our own countywide recycling ordinance, which requires all commercial and institutional entities, including us, that generate recyclable materials to recycle. And it doesn't set a great example for the private businesses and other local governments that we expect to be doing this. So another problem related, I mean, somewhat related, but there have been indications, not just to myself, but to Jody as well, that when we're having issues with contamination fees, the custodial staff are being directed to either stop recycling or more commonly to only recycle boxes or cardboard, maybe some office paper. This isn't something that building management just like unilaterally decided. Waste management, when you complain to them that you're being charged fees all the time, they'll come back and say, well, maybe try and make it simpler. Just tell your staff to do cardboard only. And they say that because most businesses, cardboard is the majority of their volume. I'm not sure that's the case for the county. I would think office paper, by weight, we have more of that than cardboard, but I don't know. And it's still a violation of the ordinance if you're producing other material and then not recycling it. Like if you have a vending machine, which I know this building does, for bottled and canned drinks, and you're not offering recycling for that, it's an issue. And then the container lock usage is not very consistent. Like we have the locks on there, but I'm not there. I know the building A container, when that was put there, no one really knew who had the key for it. So I don't think it's actually being locked. Maybe just the presence of a lock is enough of a deterrent that people that might be fly dumping would not do that and remind themselves, hey, I'm at a government property. I bet there are cameras around here. So I don't know, but so you can't offer problems without solutions. I don't think we're going to get there in terms of having a comprehensive recycling program unless we can get some interdepartmental commitment and partnership to improve it. And all of us are participants, right? Kind of how I mentioned at the beginning. We all see these blue bins and use them, and we're all responsible for knowing what should be put in there. We could conduct a more thorough audit of existing containers to identify specific issues. And we'd certainly need more than just myself doing that. We need to have some staff on each campus looking at the different bins to get a better handle on what material we're generating. The only waste audit I know of happening in the past was purely volume based. So it was like how much waste and recycling is being generated at each location to try and right size the containers and save us some money. But I don't know if there's ever really been a look at what the material is composed of and what our critical contaminants are, other than what we've heard from waste management. We actually pay extra for all those padlocks, so I think it might be a good idea to take a look at those, kind of do an audit, and develop a real plan, like of who should have the keys, what time they should be locked at, what time they should be unlocked at, that kind of thing. Assuming such a thing doesn't exist, but I haven't seen one. And then just additional, more frequent staff training. Certainly the custodial staff. I really think Spanish language training would help. That was a major problem. I mean, I had the sheet for them in Spanish, but I'm not a fluent Spanish speaker. The waste management training staff are not fluent Spanish speakers either. So, it's something we could really fix, I think. And then, I mean, it's not up to me at all, but I think it would make sense that some of those recycling consolidation tasks should be part of the performance evaluation for custodial staff. But I know they've got a lot of other things they need to do as well. So it's just kind of part of it. All staff refresher. I don't remember what I had in mind when I put that in.
A class, like a class or?
a video. I mean, my ideal world, we don't have to watch a recycling video every year, just like the sexual harassment video, but I don't think I have that kind of powers. It's not state law. But yeah, it would be great just to remind people what they're supposed to be doing. And then departmental trainings. I have one on the books for August with the health department. They asked for it. I'm happy to do it. And I don't know, another little, I guess, secret in the green box. Like, since the day I started, I've been approached by various people in various departments across the county from different campuses. And they've told me, they're like, I really don't think we're doing it right here at our own buildings. There's some that have told me they've seen people collecting the stuff from their buildings and just putting the trash and the recycling into the same large bin at the same time. And I think a lot of that was when we had contractors doing it, because they just really either didn't know or didn't seem to care. But that bad taste is still in people's mouth, and they don't have a lot of faith that recycling is really happening. Or, people see like there's no dumpster here, so where are they putting the recycling? It's a conspiracy, it's fake. But it is fake if you don't have a dumpster for it. And you hear people saying that, if they really want to get something recycled, they're going to take it home with them. I mean, one of the first county employees I talked to outside of my department ever was like, I have 25 water bottles in my car because I just throw them in there because I don't,
Empty the car.
yeah.
Maybe they should get a reusable water bottle.
Yeah. I wish I have one with me. So that's my tale.
That was amazing, Claire. Mr. Carver, please.
Thank you, Claire. That was very insightful. Couple quick questions, and I might not know the answer to this. Has there been a recycling audit for each individual building as far as making sure that they have all those recycling containers?
So not exactly. I did do one. Gosh, when did I do it? It was a couple years ago. So I have done one. It was to look at the condition of various outdoor containers and to see what dumpsters we had. I think it's changed since then, because I guess that's the other thing, just communications wise. If building management decides to change the containers in the contract with Waste Management, they haven't always told me. And it's like after the fact, I find out that maybe from a custodian that says, you're asking me to recycle, but I have nowhere to put this.
Have no
So,
what?
Nowhere
Containers in which to do it. Yeah. And then the other question is, I was wondering, you talk about having the contractors or the custodians have a part of their review. I wonder if some type of building incentive might be something to consider as well. Competition is always healthy. So I don't know if that's something we could track or what that would even look like, but just another opportunity.
Yeah, definitely.
That'd be interesting. Madam, Ms. Stefan?
Thank you. I'm a little concerned with what you shared with us about the judicial center. Is there, what are your thoughts about how we fix it?
I think, well, I can't call Waste Management and say, put those dumpsters back. It does have to be a decision that's probably made either by building management or at the administrative committee. And though, yeah, it doesn't need a committee decision. It's already part of the contract. So,
And right along with that line, I would imagine that a lot of their material would be stuff that would need to be shredded, would it not?
yeah, I mean, I think probably the most seamless way to do shredding is through a shredding company. It is expensive, but they take the paper away and recycle it.
What do they do now with, I mean, I can only imagine that they have lots of papers there. I mean, we have lots here too, but it's,
yeah.
they do shred at the judicial center.
A lot of departments have shredders, but does that go in the garbage then?
Yeah, unless someone wants to take a trip out to Fabian. I mean, maybe we could come up with some sort of program through, perhaps eWorks would help with it to collect, shredded paper at the buildings.
Or have more parades?
Yes, more phrase, yeah.
No.
kidding.
No.
White trash.
It's better
Yeah,
than
it's-
plastic. But
Yeah, especially because it does have to be in paper. I know that, that could be a problem too, but.
Yeah.
That concerns me.
Me too.
It's very concerning.
Yeah,
I mean, ideally it would be like a coordinated effort. So everything's happening at the same time. Maybe another custodial training for all the departments that are going to feed into those dumpsters. And I mean, with the general public, you know, you might have to, I guess, sacrifice some of those outdoor containers. If those are the real source of your contamination, that people just do not care and throw gross stuff in the recycling, like maybe that doesn't get recycled, but at least then the stuff from in your buildings
yeah.
where there's access, you know,
Yeah.
most of the judicial campus is behind lock and key where
Yeah.
the paper comes from. So it should be doable,
can,
but we
can
need commitment.
can we help you put pressure on anybody?
Oh, I don't know.
Okay, Mr. Gripe.
Yeah, towards that end, I agree with you, Cheryl. I think everybody in this room agrees this is unacceptable. I mean, not you, but what's going on out there. That we're paying for a contract for recycling and we're not using it because somebody said we don't have room for a dumpster. So I see all these things. I was making notes about three general areas. One is personnel. So I agree with the comment about making sure performance reviews include, you know, incentives of some kind for custodial staff to recycle. That people are educated. So the annual thing, I think we should make a video on this that all employees have to watch every year. It's not a state law, but who cares? We can still make it a county
Agree.
requirement. Yeah, that they do that. My other concern is about, there's a second concern about bins. So this room is a prime example. There is one blue bin back there. So anybody in this room that has anything will put it in there. So instantly we're contaminating everything that could go in there. So unless, and I'm not going to ask a custodial staff to go through that because people put coffee cups and food plates and all sorts of stuff. We need the right kinds of bins. So this room should get a second non-blue
Oh.
bin for trash.
Right next to it because people aren't
Yeah.
going to walk. up
Yeah,
and-
no, and I remember in my old office, financial office, I had bins that, you know, a blue bin and a regular trash bin, and they had the recycling thing on them. And the second thing, people wouldn't do it. So then I put a sign on it that said recycling here. They still didn't do it. So I had to say, I mean, you got to constantly review that. But, you know, as far as shredding goes, and I think Mavis, you're in the position to be able to make these requests / demands of the entities involved here.
Mhm.
I don't think it needs to go to administration to have the dumpsters put back, the recycling dumpsters put back. But shredding, I remember our old offices again, and Jones is not a company that likes to spend extra money, but every single office has a shredding bin. So stuff that's to be shredded goes right in it and on a regular schedule. And trust me, it wasn't expensive. And they would come and they would, on a regular basis, they would come and they would pick those up. They come in, they get there's a plastic bin inside, a big one. And they come get, each office has 2 of those. And I'm just using that as an example. So we could say, hey, you don't have to shred it. We don't need shredders. Just put it in here. A company will come get it and then it's gone. And we don't have to worry about contaminating recycling or something like that. So I think looking into shred boxes would be a great idea. And the last thing I've noticed is, and yeah, it's on the judicial campus, but even here outside the door on the bottom, there's a trash and some kind of recycling thing. They're both the same color. I have to get up there with a microscope to figure out what's going on. I think we could do a better job around the campus saying, hey, dummy, and I'm the dummy, put your recycling here, put your trash here.
Signs.
Exactly. Better signage and just re-emphasizing it because until I went with Claire to the Hodgkins facility, there's a lot of stuff I thought you could recycle that you can't and stuff I didn't think you could recycle that you can. So it's a constant thing. You guys are doing an awesome job, but we just need to, this committee, I think Mavis is empowered to go and make it happen.
Mr. Roth.
I've read articles over the years, we're doing single stream recycling. Some counties or states do separated recycling, like bottles go in one container, aluminum goes in another. Has there been any research on that? Is that a better performance, less
The only research,
cross pollination, pollution?
the only
I know
research,
it's more expensive because you're gonna have bigger container or separate containers but then they're not separating there, but hopefully this is aluminum, it goes in this.
like when in the deposit states where you got 5 cents back or whatever, when you take your container and they have much higher participation.
Well,
because
of
that
course, because
financial
it's
incentive.
more than 5. It's like,
Yeah.
I think it's $10 per bottle. No, just kidding.
And it's not contaminated. But and glass, when you can just do glass separately, the glass is much, much cleaner. But otherwise, I'm not really, I don't know about much research. And I mean, all of the big waste companies have gone all in on single stream. You'd have a hard time, I think, finding anyone to pick up anything separate other than you probably could get someone to do just paper, and you could probably get someone to do just aluminum. But I think you'd have a hard time getting, yeah.
I think that the technology, the push with the technology, the big efforts has been single stream and then sorting at the municipal.
No,
waste
and I
center.
agree. And I'm sorry.
I
Go
I
ahead,
believe
finish.
that, the recycling amount went up. The diversion rate went up a lot when people didn't have to
Separate.
single.
That was the goal is,
Okay.
yeah.
Mhm.
All right. I couldn't make the Hopkins, but I was at the one last fall. How different was it than that one?
I was telling Mavis there was a lot fewer people that you could see there. They have almost no one working on the line. So they do have employees there, but it's all technicians and mechanics to fix the machine.
Okay. Is it the same size approximately?
It's much bigger.
Oh, much bigger. And I
Yeah.
thought that one was pretty big.
Yeah. Yes. The new LRS one we went to was big.
Yeah.
The Hodgkin ones is, I think, double just in
Okay.
square footage.
Oh, wow.
But I just remembered I signed an NDA, so I can't say too much more.
I signed the same thing, but generically, I'll tell you, Bill, that facility is the most technically advanced in the country. So that's why we had to sign NDAs, but what it
Right,
does.
they don't want their competitor to replicate. Right?
Yeah, but it's phenomenal. So single stream makes great sense. We just need to get.
Well, the
people to-
technology is improved because the one we went with last fall, they separate glass right at the beginning, which I thought was pretty cool.
And they've worked so hard on that technology to make it
Yeah.
easier for people to recycle.
Well, like I didn't know you could electronically pull out aluminum, and that was pretty cool.
Allegedly.
Oh, it was working there.
What I'm thinking about
allegedly.
right now is working with the other elected officials.
Yes.
Because we know that there's, hopefully we can do, lots here in our own buildings, meaning, the ones that are under the control of the county board. And then we'll have to do diplomacy. We'll have to, do a little shuttle diplomacy, I think, maybe between us and the sheriff and us and the state's attorney. It might have to come from Ron Hain or his successor and JB Mosser and get a little pep talks from them.
And I hope, yeah, I certainly hope like nothing I said was in the intention of pointing the finger at any one person, one department saying you're not doing your part. Because we have different goals and, you know, building management has a budget and it's incredibly frustrating to the people paying those bills to see, you know, hundreds of dollars of fees every single week, you know, it's weekly. So, you know, I really didn't mean to.
Not at all.
I agree.
I don't think it
Diplomacy.
was taken that way.
No.
We're all in this together. Anybody?
Yeah,
Mr.
I was just gonna agree, Claire. I mean, it's not for you guys to have to go to battle. That's our job,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
On your behalf, but please tell us when something, and you are, but that's our job. So
And I believe this was my goal that I brought up last December, so little did I suspect that there'd be so much work involved, but thank you for all this hard work, Claire. You're doing it and we'll help you succeed wherever we can, so.
Okay. I can't wait for my video that everyone's gonna watch.
All right.
Yeah, AI can generate
We'll
videos for
need your
you.
video. We'll be putting our
Yep.
cans in the
Yep.
right bid. Okay, Ms. Hinshaw?
I think Roger has a question online.
Oh, Mr. Fonstock, please.
Yeah, this is Roger Fonstock from IT and Building Management. I've been listening to the conversation. I will work with Kevin Harris and the folks in Energy and Environmental to try to figure out the dumpsters. I know at one time, because of a lot of the training in the departments, we struggle people dumping their lunches and things like that in recycling containers, and then cleaning staff dumping it into garbage. And then we also had a lot of fly dumping where people would come by and throw their garbage into the dumpster. That prompted some of the locks, but we can revisit and work with the Judicial Center campus to get dumpsters back on site. I think initially though, locking them and having staff, you know, open them to put the recycling in is better control. But I agree that we need to start with educating the people in the buildings and maybe more clear like destinations for the recycling. I think those are some of the things that our people see a lot. They have someone, you know, going down the hallway and dropping their entire lunch into a recycle bin. So those are the kinds of challenges that we have. We do have bilingual English, Spanish supervisors and management in the cleaning staff now. So I think that will help as well as we get materials to them. And I do believe they're doing better, but I just wanted to say that I will follow up with Kevin Harris and the buildings team about the dumpsters. Thank you.
Yay.
Yay,
Thank you,
thank you.
Thanks a lot. Ms. Hinshaw, please.
Hello, good morning. So I have a couple updates for you. First, I'm going to talk about the pollution reduction grant update. Going to go to the next slide. Oh, where's that clicker? Thank you. Here we go. Oops, wrong way. All right, so to background on this, the Illinois EPA was awarded the first round of the climate, or I'm going to say CPRG. And their first one was a phase 1, which they produced a comprehensive climate action plan that was due on March 1st, 2024. The grant then was due the end of April, just the next month or the end of March. And we also did our application as several other people in Illinois all over. And the Illinois EPA was awarded about $430 million to be able to actually implement part of their plan. So their phase 1, I know this is hard to read. You can probably see it in the packet a little bit better. These were their kind of goals. They had different sections, one being clean buildings, clean industry, agriculture, freight or transportation, and power. And then different subsections under them of what their main goals were and in the plan. And so now their phase 2, they have this 430 million, and they get to actually do something now to actually implement the plan, the money. Yeah. Okay, so they picked these 5 different categories, right? So accelerating clean energy in buildings. Clean transportation, mostly focus on heavy vehicles and freight, industry decarbonization, agriculture, and making sure that we are sticking with clean energy. So their project, they estimated that it will save 57 million tons of greenhouse gases over the next 25 years, which is substantial. And so they had a meeting on June 26th. They've had several meetings around the Chicago area. They had a virtual one on the 26th for anyone that was interested. And so then we were able to ask questions, and they kind of told us a little bit of breakdown of what they're planning on doing with the money. So transportation, again, I know it's a little bit hard to read up there. So most of the transportation, as I said, focuses on heavy vehicles and freight. So at each one, I kind of give you a little bit of how this may affect Kane County. And so it is more unlikely that we would have anything to do with transportation. There is a smaller section down there that says like efficiency for, some of the utilities, but again, almost everything is focused on freight and heavy vehicles for this one. We have clean buildings. So lots of different great things that they're working with. Clean buildings are doing building concierge, something that I think we had Austin talk about before. Basically, someone that you can go to say, okay, I want to redo this building, and they're going to give you all the technical assistance for that. Excuse me. It was unclear at this time, and I'll talk a little bit more about that, where this money is all going to, who can actually apply for it. Is it local government, nonprofit? Is it individuals? They're not 100% sure themselves right now, or of not divulging the information. One that I really liked on this one, we've talked about these stretch codes, Illinois adopting these stretch codes, and they have offered technical and also financial support for that. And so they especially mentioned municipality in there. So talking with them further, there is potentially an opportunity there to get financial support to be able to help with the stretch codes. Clean power. So 2 sections here. Again, they're supporting municipalities and public utilities to plan and deploy clean energy. So again, that word municipalities, I'm hoping that means municipalities / counties or local government. So there is potentially opportunity there for us. Clean agriculture, this was some fantastic news. They're really working on things like cover crop, soil conservation practices, and a lot of financial and technical assistance for those. So some of the questions that were asked, when will the funds be distributed? Some of them have already gone out. They've had one round of their first heavy vehicle application or EV heavy vehicles. They've also started this Navigator program, which is a program where you can go, I don't know how many applicants they did except for this, but it is a program for technical assistance, again, for clean buildings. The question, what percentage will go to local government? It is unknown. So it is unlikely that all the funding will be available by any means, but they have not been able to specify right now where that money is actually going to. There's many other questions in there. One that I particularly liked was, what are you going to do when all these funds are gone? And they said, during this next 5 years, we are going to figure out how to continue. They talk about revolving funds. They talk several different other potential things. So the idea then is that this will continue beyond this 5 years, and they will have financial ability to be able to do so. And that was all from my meeting. So thank you.
Okay, any questions?
Nope.
Mr. Gripe?
Thank you. Thanks very much. I was just curious what you think the county would do with money, because we're not a transit company. We're not a big polluter, I think, from that standpoint.
If the money is available for us, clean energy is definitely one. Things like doing, community solar in different places, or not community solar, having our own solar, like at the Fabian Field, potentially. Again, there's not much for EVs in there. Excuse me. But building adoptions for the stretch code is definitely another one that I think would be a great potential, where we would be able to help residents or contractors kind of manage that gap of the costs for stretch code adoption. That's another one. Again, once they come out and I see them, I can
To the mic. I know it's hard for
You
you to
Yeah.
do
don't
both
have to
things.
look.
Okay, that's okay. Once they come out, I am more than happy to be able to share anything that's, is actually available for us. Yeah. So they will be spread across the next 5 years. So we don't know when we'll be coming out what. And they were a specific question of when will we find out? And they said, keep your email list going, keep on that listserv. So that's what we're doing.
Okay, I have a question.
Yeah.
Backing up to the one about clean power.
Mhm.
Can we back up
Yep, yeah,
a little bit? Maybe, is that,
there we go. Yeah, I know these are hard to read.
is that it?
Yeah.
Clean
power.
power is the next one, I think.
Maybe well, I can ask my
Page
question
25.
without
Oh, it says, yeah, sorry.
Page 25.
25.
There you go.
Okay, support municipal to plan and deploy clean energy.
Mhm.
So planning is very nice.
Mhm.
But like somebody from the Grateful Dead said, I never make plans, I'm too busy. But we plan, we like to plan, but we also like to do.
Right.
So is this planning or doing?
It's unclear. That kind of question was asked about the Navigator program. They were saying like that, thank you for the technology. I have all the chat. I have all the questions that were asked and the answers that were there, so I can share that if you'd like. That was another question someone brought up. That's great. The technical support is fantastic. Can we have some money, please? And so that was,
let's do.
yeah, that was kind of made clear from, at least from this one meeting. A couple different people did mention that, that they really would like to see the funds being distributed for actual implementation and not just the technical support.
Yeah, I think that's what the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus
Yeah, they,
is trying to.
they really, it was mentioned again a couple times about just not redoing what we already have. We do have support from other people. We do have technical support from other places. So just duplicating that is, want to make sure that they're not doing that and they're just actually getting out the actual funds. Yes.
Is there any way we can help with that?
I do not know. To help with getting, for them to put out the funds?
Yep.
I do not believe so. I believe they have it pretty well packed and we just have to wait until they come out and see what they are.
Who's in charge of this?
JC Kibbe.
What? Jason Kibbe?
Mhm. I'm sure there's many more, but he was the one that was giving the talk.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Yep.
Any other questions? Okay, moving along to Mr. Howell, I believe, is that your last one?
I have
Oh,
another one.
Two more.
I have a smart irrigation
Yeah.
for you. So we are doing a smart irrigation system pilot study. So I'll tell you about all of this. So one of our goals and our strategies from our first round of implementation was water conservation and wastewater generation community targeting a 5% reduction by 2030. So one of the actions was to promote a program supporting the installation of low flow water fixtures to residential and business, and to be able to really track the cost and the water usage over time. So the goal, achieving 500 households. So we are going to see what we can do about that. And we did some research. We looked at many different aspects, showers, low flow toilets, behavioral. It was a great research group and it kind of came down to what we ended up doing. So we are doing these smart irrigation meters. So I'll talk a little bit more about it, but what smart irrigation is it connects, there's different ways that you can do it, even something like a rain sensor. If anyone has a rain sensor, that is still a technology used, to be able to say, oh, my sprinklers don't go on because it's raining so much. The smart irrigation system is very, very powerful in what they do. So it's to optimize your irrigation. That's what it is, to make sure you're not sprinkling in the rain, right? So it controls, it schedules, and depending on the different type of devices, the one that we have goes off of weather conditions and your soil conditions that we chose that we like a lot. So we reached out to Rainbeard, a couple of different organizations, and we ended up talking with a representative from Orbit. They gave us a presentation. They've offered to work with us on a larger scale when we're ready. They have a device called the Beehive, and it helps you making make educational water decisions on your ecological needs of your yard. But to date, I believe it launched in 2016. To date, they have estimated they've saved over 100 billion gallons of water. And it is something that's worldwide, not just in the United States.
That's a lot of
Yeah,
water.
that's a lot of water. Well, when they did their presentation, they talked about some of the different, things that they've done in other places and how anyways, they're pretty amazing. How's that? So what we chose, they have different kind of sprinkler systems. I really particularly like this one that's called the XR Smart Indoor Outdoor Sprinkler. So what it does is you have your different zones, right? And so this program connects directly into your sprinkler system. And for each zone, you can tell your phone, you can say, okay, this zone is mostly flowers, it's shaded, it is sandy. Oh, but this zone over here for this one has no trees and it's sunny, right? So you can set all that. So your program says, okay, I know that, it doesn't have a brain, but however it does this algorithm, it's like, okay, this I need to water less, this I need to water more based off these settings. You can always set it manually and just override those settings if needed. So that's the soil part of it. The thing that I like the most is they have rain delays. So when the guy was giving his presentation, he talked about even his own usage. He showed there was an 8-day delay in watering because there was rain. Like he didn't water for 8 days as long because it didn't need it. But if he didn't have the system, he wouldn't have thought, oh, I shouldn't rain, right? Many people water in their yards every 3 days, every 2 days for so long. And so they estimated that if they looked at how much you water your yard a year, you can save about 47% reduction in how much water you use. So half the bills. Wow. Oops, wrong way, sorry. So we reached out to the Wasco sanitary district. We kind of wanted to start launching it there as they do have some high users. And so I did ask with our top 25 users, and these were them. And so the lowest bill was like $800 for a month, and the highest being around $4,000. And this is the water usage that they have. I wanted to ask so badly, who is the one person that's super high? I was like, cannot and I will not. But I just thought there's one out there. Now this is all residential. Just in comparison, I looked at my water bill for the past year. My highest was $34. A little difference, yeah. So
you were given names for any.
Oh, no. I was literally just giving water usage and exactly what you see. No,
what an outlier. What a weird outlier.
They did mention that after a certain amount, so you can see it's still a lot more higher, but they do charge more after a certain amount that you use.
Per gallon.
Yeah.
Step ladder.
Yeah. So. Yeah.
I do know, I met a woman who said her faucet broke and she came home and she racked up $1,200 over a couple days. That sounds.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So far we have this in the Wasco newsletter. It just went out on King County Connects. It went out in the St. Charles newsletter. It went out in Batavia on their Facebook feeds and in Elgin. So the idea is that I'm collecting information from people that are interested. And I'm looking at what I'm requesting from them is no actual bills. I'm literally requesting just the past 6 months of the water usage and the amount, right? You can go online and easily look that up, but no information from them directly, right? And I'm asking them just the general size of their yard, just to kind of get where we are and the people that are, interested. I have had people that have called, but they don't have water sprinklers. So I've given them some other ideas on water conservation. Over this time. So the plan is to use the ARPA funds that is with the King County Water Conservation Program that does the low flow toilets. We're going to track it over a year period. So you can share all your data. So I will be able to see everything they do and I'll be able to see, again, what their yard looks like, how many zones, the water usage. And so I'll be tracking everyone's together and not just, an individual person. I'll side bit. It's a great Father's Day present because I just gave one to my dad and I'm like, Dad, when are you going to set that up? I want to see it. And so we'll provide that information in real time for residents. And then the idea is that we will be able to promote this even further, saying, look, we've done this study. We know this really works. You're going to save this amount of money. It's not just numbers that are out there from somebody else. This is us telling you, here's the data, and hopefully be able to provide some financial incentives to continue this program.
Wow. Quite amazing. Questions? Mr. Greipel?
Thank you.
Thank
Very, very interesting. I'm assuming that this regulator is only applicable if somebody has a sprinkler system.
Correct. Yep.
How much or what percentage, I'm sure they knew, but what percentage of people in Kane County have sprinkler systems?
I do not know the answer to that. That is a great, fantastic question, but I do not know the answer. I will see if I can somehow figure that out.
Because what that tells me, who is the population we're talking to here? And I think there's a whole lot more people, like my household doesn't have a sprinkler system. And our yard's green or greener than anybody else's around us because we know, well, my wife's a landscape designer, but so when it's dry, we don't mow and we let the grass go to sleep. And then when God comes along and gives us more rain, guess what? It gets green again. So, I think giving incentives to people like that and maybe disincentivizing sprinkler systems because they use too much water. I mean, again, my wife's experience, people overwater constantly.
Right.
And she's pulling out plants. People say, my plant died. Well, you watered it every 7 minutes. So, that's part of the problem there. So maybe that's something we can do is say, you don't need to have a sprinkler system. If and here's how you can do that. People just think, and the sprinkler sales people, especially when they're building homes, are very good. So.
Okay, thank you.
Had Pennickers online. They were a great presentation. Wondering if we should be reaching out to Chamber of Commerce's because businesses have a higher percentage of sprinkler systems, I would guess, than the residential sector.
Okay, that's an excellent idea.
Maybe that could be part of the ARPA funding.
Okay.
To help with that. Just an idea.
Thank you.
Sure.
Ms. Straffman?
Actually, this is focusing on residential now, or we're hoping, I think Ted's idea is wonderful.
Yeah, this was just focusing on residential at the moment. It is in baby steps. And so that's a fantastic idea. And I will definitely do that. I'm reaching out and seeing if I can get larger. They will need more devices, obviously, because the max for this one is 16 zones. And so they would need more than just 1 or 2, but I'm sure it can be doable.
What was I didn't get your question. Was it?
I didn't know if this was focusing right now on residential, but I love what Ted said about contacting the Chamber of Commerce to help businesses do that. It's an excellent idea. And this is a little bit aside, but it's always about education. I went through a new subdivision the other day who has a landscape contract to mow all the yards. And like John said, it was mowed too short.
Yeah.
And without rain, and all the grass was dead.
Yeah.
All of it was dead. And I just go crazy when I see things like that. Our yard is also very green because, like John said, we know how to do it.
Yeah.
And not everybody does.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, and landscape companies, they wish we had a little more regulation over them. Just an aside.
Landscape companies want to come every week or two. They don't want to skip those
Well,
weeks.
no, not necessarily. No, sometimes it's a contract. And, but also, they're part of the reason that we have so much chemical drift. So that's just my little soapbox for today.
Ms. Bates? Yes. What about agriculture?
They would use a system that is highly more advanced than this.
Okay.
This is specifically kind of targeted for very small, small homes. It could be commercial, but it would have to be small commercial.
Okay, I know most of our ag is not irrigated, right? It's just waits for the rain. But I would imagine the small organic farmers.
Potentially, yeah, that's not a bad idea. Yeah.
Mr. Roth?
It's slightly different, but what about, in a way, it's water rain barrels? If we had some incentive, you know, out at my museum, we don't have any running water. So we had an Eagle Scout, you know, put in. And as I've learned over the years, one rainfall will refill a 50-gallon.
Oh,
Okay.
I
It's
see.
full above the,
Yeah, and it overflows. Well, we have double tanks and they still full. And if you kind of combine that with the irrigation, where you're using a different source of water, you know, and because it's clean when it rains, it's just when it gets into the, and it also cuts down on flooding. We don't have a lot of runoff. I mean, it puddles on the ground. So the more we capture, there's less puddles.
Yeah, I could definitely make sure that the residents that do come to, you know, question about it, that I can definitely mention our rain barrel program that we have through the Conservation Foundation
But
and suggest adding that. Yeah.
but tie it into the irrigation because there's your source.
There
'Cause I
is
know
a way to do that, but
And
it's,
Jody, I think it was 2 years ago, you know, said we're going to run out of the deep aquifers by 2050, right? So if we can, you know, and a lot of water runs off and then goes down and it floods, and et cetera. So
okay, many things happening all at once. Any other questions? Okay, next report. Climate action implementation plan team updates.
Okay, 6 minutes. I'll run as quick as I can. Hello, good morning, everyone. It's been more than a year now since the county board approved the climate action implementation plan. Since then, Sarah and I have been working diligently trying to make sense of the plan and figure out which actions to move forward with and why. And since August of last year, we've been doing that through a citizen-led process called the Climate Implementation Teams. So right now I wanted to run through with you, give a general sense of where we're at over this first year. So like I said, we break them down in cycles, where we have citizens participating in different teams depending on the sectors that are listed in the Climate Action Implementation Plan. The first cycle started in August of last year and ended in November. And then our second cycle was conducted in March of this year and ended in June. Throughout those two cycles, we've gone through about 30 actions from the Climate Action Plan thus far. We've tried to limit it to 2 per team, as we realized that more than 2 really stretched folks who might have not had enough time, or we just wouldn't get the quality of the work that we wanted from it. So we tried to limit it to 2 per team per cycle. As you can see on the right-hand side here, you have the total participants for each sector. Overall, we've had 42 individuals throughout both of these cycles participate, with buildings and energy being the most and transportation being the least. But we've found through some of these teams that sometimes more people doesn't always mean quality. For the transportation team, for instance, we have 2 people that consistently show up each time. They're there every time. They do the work we ask every time. So quality can differ even regardless of how many people actually participate. The average attendance, though, that we've had is about between 3 to 4 people, edging closer to the 4 in this case. From the first cycle to this current one, we had a little bit of a dip of a couple people less this cycle participating compared to the first time. But we did get some newer folks who joined on with this current cycle. And then I just wanted to briefly show some of the actions that were chosen for this second cycle between March and June. As a reminder, for this cycle, we essentially have internal staff members across different departments who act as a liaison for each of these sectors. Essentially, I would, for instance, with climate economy, we have Chris Toth up in development, and I would ask him to go through the list of actions in climate economy and choose a handful that he'd want to work on, but he just doesn't feasibly have the time to do it right now. So he would choose 5 or so, and then in each of the actions that he chose, he would list several questions that he'd want answered, and then we would take those questions that need to be answered and bring them to the team. So in this case, Mavis is on the climate economy team, so we had they chose 2 actions, and Mavis worked through each of those questions. We had about 3 meetings, I believe, for this second cycle. This is for local food and ag, which Sarah heads up on her end. Matthew Tansley is the liaison for us on that end. We have green space and trees. Apologies for the for the question marks, those are actually Ts. Sarah also heads up that one on that end. We have Karen Miller as well, who's our liaison for that. Transportation and land use, I head up that on our end. We have Gretchen, I can't believe I'm forgetting her last name, Gretchen Clock from KDOT as well, who heads up, is our liaison for that. And then water and wastewater, we also have Rob Linky down in our department who pushes us forward with Sarah and I. And then we have waste management, our very own Claire Ryan, who's our liaison for that team. And then buildings and energy, we actually don't have an internal staff member at this point. We have talked with Mark Van Kerkhoff about getting a staff member, and that's still in the works, I believe. But we'll get it for the next cycle coming up in a few months.
I don't know what's him.
And then finally, we have the health and safety. We did previously have someone in the health department who has moved on from this point, but we did previously meet a few weeks ago with the health department, and they're still searching for a new staff member. And once that role's filled, we'll have a new liaison filled for that group. And then finally, I just wanted to get to some next steps. Since I mentioned the second cycle finished in June, right now, Sarah and I will be taking a few months off from those teams and going through all the research that everyone conducted. We're essentially just gonna put it all into one big, nice document. And then once I put it into that document, then we'll go individually meet with each of the staff liaisons and just tell them what we've talked about, what they did. A few weeks ago, I met with Chris and ran through the 2 actions that I listed up there. And he's currently reviewing all that information. Will get back to me, and then we'll strategize from then on how we want to move forward implementing it, or as in this case, how Sarah gave you the irrigation presentation. We want to bring back each of these actions and what we're doing and keep you all informed. And then, of course, since we've gone through about 30 actions now, we hope to get through another 14, 15 this next cycle. We'd like to launch on our website a tracking page so we can show this is where we are at on progress, just so that we can be transparent to folks of what we've done, and also just list out all that information is clearly for folks to learn, and if anything is needed, and to call us if they have any questions. And then once we get through all that, then we'll start back up with this third cycle, which we'd hope to reconvene the teams in about 2 to 3 months. So that's the general overview of where we are with these implementation teams.
Well, that's exciting because Sarah's report was the outgrowth from the climate action plan. So
Yeah, and of course, as soon as we have more information about what we're actually doing and specifically, we'll definitely report individually on the different actions.
okay, that's what we're supposed to do. Perfect. Any questions for Austin? Okay, then
Davis, just
Mr. Gripe.
thank you. Quick suggestion. I noticed in several places you had conduct or hire someone to do a study. I would encourage you to do the conduct versus the hire because of the budget situation. So
sounds good.
Well, I think that's the wording that was in the climate action plan to begin with. Any other comments? Okay, thank you very much. Then I believe, is there any new business? Is
I had
there?
Mavis, if I may.
Yes.
Just one thing, and I think we talked about it in the past somehow, but it was the care of the ground in and around solar fields that the county has done, which is embarrassing, I guess is the word I'd use. I don't know that there's a solution for it, because when you put up a solar panel, you're blocking air or not air, you're blocking sunshine and everything. So, but you know, we stipulate in the solar agreements that we've issued that people, you know, do good things that make it look nice to the area around, and our own solar fields are not super great. So I don't know how we can address that, but I think it'd be great if we could.
Please mute Alex Arroyo. Jody, do you have any report you can make on that?
Yeah, I'll turn it over to Sarah for our own field, but as I mentioned last month, we are seeing a lot of success with preceding the fields before the solar panels are going up. That is something we started including in the zoning petitions. That is one of the conditions that the field be preceded, especially with the prairie mixes that are going in. It gives them a chance to establish as opposed to waiting to all the construction is occurring. And so in the industry, that's what they're pushing as well. They're seeing a lot more success with that. So I hope going forward, we're going to be doing some comparison between the fields that were preceded versus the ones that weren't. And I think with that direction, we're going to continue to express to the solar petitions that are coming through that is really the methodology that's worked well. And I know Mooseheart, that field has had a lot of success with growth underneath their panels. And so they didn't have nearly as the amount of earth moving that we had. Obviously we took down a very large hill. There was gobs of things that were dumped there over the years with the construction out at the Judicial Center. So we were working with a very challenging site. So our site is maybe a little bit different than these other fields going in.
Are we talking, that's what you're talking about is inside the fence. Is it outside the fence that people are complaining about?
It's not great outside the fence, and I was taking somebody on a tour, so that's one thing, but inside the fence was really bad.
Okay, that's our responsibility, or GRNE's.
Inside the fence is our solar company's responsibility.
Solar
So we're
company.
still holding a letter of credit on them for the completion of that.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ross.
Two things, Roth here. One is lesson learned. I mean, our soil condition was gravel and rock and stuff, and that should almost be one of the requirements too, that they prep the soil if it's of that lacking of a condition. But I think it was last month, I think Jody, you brought it up, or I heard 4 of our solar fields in the county, we need to make maybe a tighter recommendation on cover. Like some were planting trees every 30 feet apart, and there's an inconsistency. And we got to work with the state's attorney. What can we require? Because if it's supposed to be shielding 30 feet apart, it's going to take, 100 years before those bushes get big enough to cover that.
Mark is here and
Okay.
that really falls under
Under zoning,
development. Yeah,
yeah.
we're just really the soil erosion portion.
I
of the
understand, but we
panels.
need to
So I know
work
his
together
team
on
is-
that.
Yeah, his team is working.
Okay, and that's fine. Thank you.
Ms. Allen?
Oops. I had a constituent who just Googled and then asked me about putting solar panels over parking areas.
We have investigated that thoroughly, Ms. Walnick.
It's very difficult in the Midwest with the snow removal and the pavement heaving that we have. It's really more of something out west where they don't get the snow and the pavement issues that we do here. It's very expensive and it's very challenging. So that's kind of something, I mean, kind of right place, right time, and a smaller magnitude, I think makes sense. But doing large parking areas that are covered just is very challenging here in the Midwest with our weather.
And it could be that those Googles came from New Mexico. Entirely possible. Sure.
Or San Antonio, where my parents used to live. A lot of sun. Everybody has car parks. So why not just add solar panels? Mr. Roth, did you have, Ms. Chapman?
Or down the road, we could have solar tiles on our roofs instead of solar panels, just have the roofing material be
Oh,
solar generated.
Solar shingles.
Mhm.
Is that what you mean? Yep, that's coming.
Yeah, it's coming.
Ms. Ryan?
Just really quick, I wanted to remind the committee that the recycling extravaganza is a week on Saturday. And I think
What day?
Mr. Pius and Miss Allen have volunteered, so thank you.
What day is that?
19th. We'll have 8 stations to take all your stuff. Oh, 8 a.m. until noon at 540 South Randall Road in St. Charles.
You got that in just in time. Okay, my comments are that there are many challenges in the world today, and I believe that our committee is facing those challenges and putting we are planning and doing And I'm always proud of our staff and our committee and the decisions we've made and the follow through that we're giving to those plans and decisions. So carry on, folks, and keep your chins up. Keep your chin up. And I will see you next month. Thank you.
Thank you.
May I have a motion?
Roth would request unanimous approval to put reports on file.
Straffman?
No problem.
Second? Second.
And then I'll make a motion for adjournment.
Cute.
I'll second.
Ms. Allen? Second? Sure. Okay, thank you.
All right.
Favor.